right, I'd like to call to order the October 1st, 2025 meeting of the Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission. If we could start with a roll call.
All right. Casey Menzer.
Here.
Chris Melton.
Here.
Eric Crump.
Here.
John Enlow. John Flansburgh.
Here.
Eddie Quaglieri.
Here.
Danielle Henderson. Mylan Nguyen. Donna Noel, Chris Mixon.
Here.
Amber Sosa.
Here.
Cara Steelan.
Here.
Michael Widmer. Jennifer Carr.
Here.
David Kelly. We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, John Enlow just also joined on Zoom.
Oh, perfect. Welcome, John. All right, moving on to item number 2, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I have none.
All right, well, seeing nobody anxiously jumping at the opportunity in the audience, move on to item number 3, which is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Commissioner Melton. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Commissioner Flansburgh. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 4, approval of the minutes from the June 4th, 2025 Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission meeting and the September 3rd, 2025 Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission workshop. Looking for a motion.
Chair, I have reviewed the minutes and move to approve.
All right, we have
Both
Motion.
sets.
both sets.
Both
All right.
sets.
Motion by Commissioner Flansburgh. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Commissioner Quaglieri. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 5. Action, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to the Western Regional Water Commission to approve pass-through funding of $60,000 from the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection 604B Clean Water Act to the Truckee River Foundation for a professional services agreement for the Idlewild Riverbank Repair Project, 30% design. All righty. Birgit.
Chairman and members of the commission. I'm not sure. Is my speaker on?
It was.
It's not going on. We're having some fun technical issues this afternoon. Okay, now we're on. Okay. Chairman, members of the commission, Birgit Whittegren for the record. The Nevada Division of Environmental Protection distributes annually money from the Environmental Protection Agency in the amount of $60,000. And they rotate that funding between different regional groups throughout the state. When we heard that we were selected, we consulted regional stakeholders to identify eligible projects. And One Truckee River came forward with some stabilization work through Idlewild Park. And I would like to introduce Iris Jaley-Papard, Executive Director of One Truckee River, to give a short presentation on this project for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can my presentation be put up? Yeah. Oh, okay. And okay, see it. Great. Okay, thank you for the opportunity to present briefly about One Truckee Rivers and Nevada Land Trust Coordinated Vegetation Management Planning Effort. Started in 2020 with regional discussions taking place focused on improving the riverbank of the Truckee River in Nevada. The effort started a steering committee and regional technical working group that is active today. In 2022, our work together completed the Framework Vegetation Management and Restoration Plan, and this is the members of our regional technical working group and stakeholders. And stakeholders mean that they don't participate in all the meetings we have, but they have been interviewed and they're willing to meet with us for further input when needed. The work is focused from Crystal Peak to Vista Narrows in the urban stretch of the Truckee River. And as I mentioned, in 2022, our work completed the Framework Vegetation Management and Restoration Plan, and tools were included in this plan for individuals and agencies to use to put together restoration plans. Then an in-depth conditions assessment was conducted, and from that assessment, a project prioritization tool was developed. A live map, plans, tools, and a case study can be found on One Truckee River's website. Through this 5 years of planning, many areas were identified in need of improvement along the Truckee River corridor. Recently, discussions with City of Reno staff led us to focus on a river stretch at Idlewild Park. We request support to do more specific planning and design work through NDEP 604B funding. And that's my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Iris.
Yeah.
Chairman, Commissioners, are there any questions?
Well, I just want to say that I'm very familiar with your vegetation management plan, and I have always really appreciated the tremendous amount of work that went into engaging all of the stakeholders across the region, and the methodology for quantifying the various conditions and the various public needs aspects of this. And so I just want to say that I'm fully in favor of this. I think this is a tremendous use of funding, and yeah, I'm very supportive.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes, Commissioner Steeland.
I also just want to voice my support. One Truckee River has done incredible work with Tumwa with the River Restroom Project and also the restoration work at Broadhead Park. And so I am fully in support of this project as well and excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner Flansburgh.
Yeah, so to appreciate the project in this particular part of the river, as it comes through, the water kind of gets forced back around to this side, so we get a lot of erosion around this bank because it's part of the meandering section of the river. So this is a great use of the project. In some earlier floods in the Truckee River, we've had some impacts to Oxbow general area on the other side, and this is just one of those areas where the meandering rivers, what we have is it's going from that side, cutting back across the channel to the other side, and that's where we're seeing some of this erosion. So glad to support this project.
Thank you.
I did have one follow-up question. So it looks like this request is for design up to 30%. Any ideas on kind of future phases for design and ultimately construction?
Not at this time, but from my adventures with Broadhead, that's now fully funded and estimated to be completed in fall of 2027, this funding to support design work is really important to get the ball rolling, to get people excited about funding additional work to construction.
Are there any other comments or questions from the commission? If not, I'm looking for a motion. All right, motion by Commissioner Steeland. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Commissioner Flansburgh. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, yes. Do we have any discussion on the motion from any commissioners or any of our non-voting members? Nope. Okay. All right. So all in favor? Aye. All right. Any
Thank you.
opposed? Nope. All right. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Iris.
Thank you.
All righty. Yes, and I have a report that John Enlow does not appear to have sound, so I'm not sure if there's any technical difficulties we might be able to resolve.
Yes,
Okay,
there are.
perfect. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6, presentation regarding the Truckee River Operating Agreement. Commissioner Steeland.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so Kim asked me to give a brief TROA overview, and there are many others in this room that are experts on TROA, so feel free to chime in or correct me if you feel like I'm misstating something. I'm going to provide a really brief thanks, Jen, a really brief overview of TROA and sort of what we see as some of the successes from TUMWA's perspective now that it's been almost 10 years since TROA was signed, so December of 2015, so December of 2025, it'll be 10 years of TROA. Going to just start with, I think, what we all know, right? That we have we have a lot of hydrologic variability in our system. We don't really know what each winter is going to bring, and so we've been really fortunate the last 3 winters to have above average years. But of course, it's great to have TROA in place and upstream reservoir storage to be able to make it through those years when we have less water available in the snowpack. So that's where decades of planning have come into play to get us where we are now. Just looking at the TROA history, I know there's a lot of text on this slide, but provides context for how we got to where we are now with the 1908 agreement starting between the Floreston Pulp and Paper Company and the Truckee River General Electric Company, establishing our required rate of flow at the California-Nevada state line, which is still the basis for how the Truckee River is operated. And then the agreement in 1915 dealing with U.S. Bureau of Reclamation and the regulation at the Tahoe Dam. And then there were some key droughts that, of course, affected the agreements along the river, namely the Dust Bowl drought, which led to the Truckee River Agreement, and the Ore Ditch Decree, which prior to TROA and the Settlement Act were kind of the lay of the land on the river. And then, of course, our kind of drought of record, the 1987 to 1994 drought occurred, and it was recognized that there needed to be some changes. And so that's when the Settlement Act was put in place that required a new operating agreement to be negotiated, which led to TROA in 2015. So as you all, I'm sure, know, I'll keep it really high level. TROA really creates operational flexibility to allow for water, more flexibility in water management, storage, and use, while ensuring that existing water rights are preserved in accordance with existing decrees. And of course, the signatory parties are listed there, and it's managed by the water master, who is court appointed. I'm not going to go through this too much. What it does for TUMWA is TROA, we own and operate the dams at Independence and Donner Lakes. That's our privately owned stored water, but TROA and the interim storage agreement allows us to store water in the federally owned reservoirs, which of course creates much more drought resiliency for our communities here. It also is a multi-benefit solution. So we have trade-offs in kind of dry and wet years. And so it augments our municipal drought supplies, super critical for us in drought years, especially as we continue to grow. It allows us and others to use the unexercised water in federally owned upstream reservoirs when not needed. Ratifies the interstate allocation between California and Nevada to 10 and 90% respectively. Benefits fisheries immediately below the reservoirs, and also enhances spawning flows in the lower Truckee River for the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, improves overall water quality, and provides recreational opportunities. The Floreston rate, as mentioned, was established in 1908. It's the required rate of flow at the California-Nevada state line. It is really the basis of how we operate on the river. The summer flows are March 1st through September 30th. That's 500 CFS, and then 400 CFS from October 1st through the end of February. And so today we just dropped down to 400 CFS in the river. If you look at the USGS gauge today, it's a little bit above that because others are releasing water today, but the Floreston rate is 400. What a key component of being able to more fully exercise kind of the surface water rights is this idea of the Floreston rate holdback. So there is a required rate of flow at the California-Nevada state line, but TUMWA and again other TROA parties have excess surface water rights from the Truckee River. And so what a Floreston rate holdback allows you to do is you can take a portion of that water being released for Floreston rates, and you can actually physically hold it back in the upstream reservoirs against the required Floreston rate as allowed, and then you can release it when you actually would prefer to have that water. So in Tumwa's case, it would be, holding it back when you have more water available and then releasing it maybe in a drought situation when the fluorescent rates are no longer available. And it allows us to build up credit water in our upstream reservoirs when we request it. Same with the other TROA parties as well. There's a lot of credit water types. There's a lot of terminology in TROA, but you can see it's complicated, and Tumwa, this is just 3 of our kind of water types we have, and so there's different kind of rules around each of these credit water types and whether or not it can turn over and spill, and so there's lots of terms in there, and that are all thankfully managed by the Federal Water Master's Office, who tracks all of this on a daily basis. And then of course there's other credit water that people store, like fish credit water, Joint Program Fish Water Credit Water, Water Quality Credit Water with Reno Sparks and Washoe County, the Newlands Project, and then the state of California. So a drought designation is really another key concept in TROA when we talk about droughts, right? There's lots of different ways to talk about droughts, but drought situation as defined by TROA occurs when, as determined by April 15th, basically there's not sufficient fluorescent rate water to make it through the end of October, or the amount of fluorescent rate water in Tahoe is going to drop below 6,223.5 feet. When a drought is declared, basically, it allows Tumwa to retain and build up more credit water and carry it over from year to year until it's required to meet customer demands or until that drought situation ends. But this is one of the trade-offs, is that when a drought situation no longer exists, any additional non-firm credit water, M&I credit water, is converted to fish credit water, and so it benefits the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, and they're able to use that water in the lower river. I've lost the presentation, and we actually have graphs now, not just text. Jen, I don't know.
It sounds like nobody, the folks online cannot hear what's going on there, so we need to take a 5-minute break to see if we can.
Okay, perfect timing.
All right, so I think we'll pause Kara here while we sort out some of our technical difficulties, and we will have a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Someone able to try talking to the participants again? Yes.
Through the Zoom?
I'm talking through the meeting. Can you hear me? It's echoing.
Oh, did we end it?
No, I haven't ended it yet.
We might want to start it all back up from scratch, maybe. Or you might want to reboot this PC. Well, it's like, it's not saying there's a microphone. Yeah.
All right, we're going to end the webinar and restart it. Yes. Yes, I will go ahead and do that real quick. It's ended already. Looks like someone ended it already. Are we good? I think so. Okay. Follow instructions from scratch, figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In what way? Really? Yeah. What part? Can you read it?
Sure.
She's not for.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
John's here.
Oh, hey, Danielle's here and I can hear now. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so it sounds like we have restored our, connectivity and resolved our technical issues. And so with that, I would like to reconvene our session and give Commissioner Steeland the opportunity to finish her presentation. So, Cara.
Thank you, Chairman. So quickly looking here at the Truckee River diversions in a normal year versus a dry year, you can see kind of the distribution of where most of the flow goes. You can see in a normal or a wet year, most of the flow does go to Pyramid Lake because the Truckee Carson Irrigation District is able to take or get most of the water from the Carson River system instead of pulling from the Truckee River system. You can see in a dry year that shifts quite a bit as they need to bring more water through the Truckee Canal to fill the Houghton Reservoir. And you can see that proportionally, Tumwa uses a bit more in the dry water year, and that's not that we're using more water, it's just proportionally there's less water in the river. But we do use a relatively small portion of the water in the river overall. Looking at Lake Tahoe elevation here, this is one of our metrics that we use to determine when we're in a drought situation, and so it's a really important metric for the whole system. It's one of the kind of key metrics that TROA is based upon, and we have been fortunate. TROA was signed in December 2015, and that next year we came kind of not the following winter, we came with kind of strongly out of that drought, with 2017 being one of the record-breaking years at the time. And since then, we've had a few dry years, 2020 to 2022. So overall, TROA has been going pretty well, but we've also had some really robust years, and so we've been fortunate in that way. But looking at drought storage, this is kind of one of, I think, the most impactful graphics we can show about how TROA has benefited Tumwa and our drought supplies for the region. Apologies, it's a little hard to see up there, but you can see 2015, we had about 30,000 acre feet in storage. We did use about 11 or 12,000 acre feet because it was such a dry year. 2016, as we were coming out of the drought, we did use a bit, but you can see that when TROA went into effect in December 2015, we were able to storing significantly more water, pushing up to 40,000 acre feet in upstream storage. Again, this is just our drought storage, really. So it's we pretty much only release this when we're in a drought and the fluorescent rate has dropped out. So this is not all of the upstream storage available to us. And then you can see, I think what's most impactful is in 2020. It's hard for me to see up there. I think it's 2021 and 2022. In 2022, we got almost 60,000 acre feet in credit storage because we were in prolonged drought, so we were able to carry our credit water year over year, and that's really the power of TROA from a water supply perspective for municipal and industrial supply down here, is that we're able to carry that over. If we had continued to stay in a drought, we would have continued to build that supply up. And you can see it dropped drastically in 2023, and that's not because we used that storage, but it's because it turned over to fish credit water since we were no longer in a drought situation. And so that's the kind of the multi-benefit solution of TROA is that, you know, it benefits multiple parties in different year types. And then this is a graphic that we often show that kind of shows our sources of supply. And you can see in 2021, which was kind of one of our only drought years that we've had since TROA was implemented, we were able to utilize that upstream storage that we had in Donner Lake, which is our privately owned stored water. And then we also were able to release water that we had stored in the federally owned reservoirs to make our water supply up. So the blue turquoise color is surface water. So basically you can see that the fluorescent rates dropped out in kind of late August or mid-August timeframe. And so fluorescent rates were no longer being met. So we started using more groundwater and also releasing some of those upstream reserves to be able to meet our water demands downstream. And so looking back at 10 years of implementation, like I said, we've had multiple record-breaking winners. So, you know, when the system is full, pretty much everyone is happy. But we did have a relatively short drought from 2020 to 2022, which proved the importance of TROA for our system and for our water supply resiliency. With being able to nearly double the previous maximum credit storage of 32,000 acre feet to, again, getting almost to 60,000 acre feet. Really essential for long-term water supply reliability. We're just finalizing our 2025 to 2045 water resource plan. We did additional modeling in that through the end of the century, and again, highlights the importance of TROA. And of course, we're all coordinating and meeting on a monthly basis with the U.S. Water Master to discuss scheduling and the hydrologic modeling. So it's been going well from TUMWA's perspective over the last decade. With that, happy to take any questions, or again, if anyone wants to jump in and talk about it from their perspective.
All right, any questions or comments for Cara? Commissioner Flansburgh?
Cara, great job, and it is a very complicated agreement, and that's why it took 25 years from the time that the settlement was in place till the agreement was here. What I see this as primarily is a way to create more of a steady state flow rate on the river and with our water resources. So it really allows us to have better river health. It really accentuates the importance of good river health, that we have those additional storage, whether it's for fish credit, whether it's drought supplies, we have that in place. So I just think that there's a lot of benefit here. We know that there's a few other things that we can do that probably will even improve it more. So as we get this 10 years in, I think back to the river, and I remember the last time when things looked pretty dire, it was 2015, and we didn't have a lot of flow in there. It would take a lot to get us back to that same situation now under TROA because of the available water resources we have to release when we need to release them. And so I think that's another big advantage. TROA didn't go into effect until the end of 2015, and so we've seen that. But we've also had some bigger water years. So when we really see the advantages, it'll be when we start seeing some of the lower water years. And I really like your graph that shows the TUMWA water supplies even in a lower water year and how you're able to fill those, and also the importance of the groundwater wells and how those kick in to meet the water supply of the region. So appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Any other comments for Cara? Well, you know, as a newer member to the Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission, you know, I'm not as well versed in a lot of this, and so I thought this was incredibly helpful to, you know, give me a you know, really general understanding. So I really appreciate the presentation today. All right, so this item is for presentation only. So moving on to item number 7. Action, discussion, and fiscal year 2027 priorities setting session with possible direction to staff on the results. Ms. Rigdon.
Thank you, Chairman. Members of the Commission, Kim Rigdon for the record. I'm going to wait for the clicker to come on back this direction. Thank you, Jen. All right, let's see if I can use it properly. Okay, so it is that time of year again. Most of the Water Planning Commission members have been through this exercise multiple times, but for some of you, you may not have experienced this, the joy of discussing our next year's projects and priorities. So what we do every year is we meet in October so that we can go through the existing projects and priorities that we have that implement the Regional Water Management Plan, and take a look at them and affirm those priorities, that we still want those priorities and projects to continue moving forward. We also will consider any new projects or priorities brought forward by commission members, and those priorities will be scored in an exercise that I'll get you started on after there's discussion on the different projects and priorities, so that staff can then inform the budget for fiscal year 27. Once those priorities are included into the budget and they have a budget allocation to them, that allows us to go ahead and execute those different projects at the beginning of the year. Any new projects that are brought forward or concept projects that still need a scope of work to be developed would be brought before the commission to take a look at the scope of work, have a presentation, and formally approve that and make a recommendation to the WRWC. So for existing projects, it gives us kind of a quick automatic approval process for those. For new projects, we would bring them before the commission again. And with that, I am happy, Chairman, in item 7A in your board packet is a list of the projects that hopefully you've had a chance to go through. I'm happy to go through some of them. I wanted to get some feedback from the members of the commission, or we can go ahead and just go into discussion and answer questions. Most of the projects are brought forward by the members of the commission or by WRWC staff. So whoever is the sponsor of the project, we would probably defer to them questions about the project unless it's a new concept project, and we can go through that. So I'll leave it up to you, Mr. Chairman, to lead the discussion on the projects, or if you want more information or on specific projects, you can just let me know and we'll go through that brief description of the project.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Kim. So it's my understanding that there's no new projects that are being proposed this year. If that's correct?
No new projects.
So, most of the projects that we see here are, these continuing items and things we've continued to support and fund over the past number of years. And so I'm fine if we want to open it up just for general discussion, since there's not a lot of new content here. But if anyone had any specific questions or comments on any project, so I guess I would just open it up for discussion.
Just as a side note, Kim Rigdon for the record, there are projects on there that were prioritized last year that still don't have a scope of work associated with them. So they would be new projects that would be brought to the commission, but they're not new as far as affirming those priorities for the commission. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I do have one question. I'm not sure if there's anybody that can answer that. So on the priorities, the Washoe Evapotranspiration Project by DRI, is there any data on use of that information? I know that's publicly hosted and publicly available. I'm just curious if they have any data on use.
Thank you for the question, Member Crump. Kim Rigdon for the record. To my knowledge, the information is being shared. Are you talking about just the evapotranspiration or the precipitation gauge monitoring? Evapotranspiration, as far as I know, is just being used to keep the website updated and inform the public of what are good watering times and irrigation times and those sorts of things. Yeah, it's more of an education tool for the public at this point. If they are using it, I will find out and let you know. I haven't heard that they're using it for anything else at this point.
Just a clarification, was the question more in line with how many hits we're getting to the website, so how useful we are finding the site for those that are using it?
Yeah, so obviously it's publicly hosted, so how many hits we're getting from the public. If there are any others that are using it, I believe we actually have some of those weather stations are located in our parks, and our irrigation system is tied directly to them and adjusts for that evapotranspiration. But I'm wondering if others in the community, maybe it's large HOAs or golf courses or something like that, are using it to make decisions as well.
That's a great question, and I do not have any information or data on whether the website's getting clicked or if it's being used outside of the public education on the website. So I'd have to get more information on that for you.
As a clarification, I know that City of Reno Parks uses it, so I'm assuming that the larger groups that have those are using that information. But it would be just really good to see how, because if it's not getting a lot of use, it might just be part of the education campaign to push that out again and let people know it's how it can be used, even.
Yeah, great input. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, if there's no further discussion on any of these projects from either our, commission members or our, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The tribe is slightly concerned about the water quality credit trading proposal, and I was just wondering if there's someone here who could maybe talk a little more about that project, including the status of any approvals already. I wasn't sure who the sort of sponsor was for that one.
Yeah, I can go ahead and attempt that one. Thank you, Kim Rigdon, for the record. Good question. That project is currently on hold. The reason it's continuing to be a priority is because we're working with NDP to negotiate what the terms might look like moving forward and what information is needed and what technical work needs to be done to get the further support on that project. So it's on hold while we're negotiating with NDP moving forward. And we can definitely include the tribe in those discussions when we move that project forward. I think the City of Reno is leading that. Nick Brothers is the lead on that. So, Mr. Flanberg?
Yeah, and I can address a little bit more, Chris. So one of the things that we see that could be beneficial for this project is really identifying where there may be some non-point source pollution that's entering the river that we would be able to, can we quantify that? And the reason that's important is not, and quantifying it's important so we understand what kind of impacts are happening there. But it's also important because if we can actually quantify and then maybe show that there's a benefit in a project that would be able to reduce that non-point source, if we can show that there's a benefit in another part of the system, it allows us to possibly connect that to a funding source to show where those benefits are. But without having the credit system, if we don't have that in place, it's really difficult for us to find funding sources. Even if we have a situation that we know that we can make some improvements, sometimes it's hard to have that funding source unless we can show where that benefit would also occur. Is that, that's, I think that's kind of where we're coming from on this particular project, is that if we can show that there's a benefit, then maybe we can link that to a certain fund that we could actually fund a project, as opposed to just knowing about it but not having a ready available fund that could actually do something about it.
Okay, thanks for that.
Alrighty. Unless there's any other discussion from either our commission members or our non-voting members.
Is the light supposed to come on?
You're on.
Oh, it's good. Okay, the light's not on, so I wasn't sure. Thank you. This is Jennifer Carr for the record. I haven't been through this enough times to understand exactly how this process works. But I just wanted to put something on the radar, I guess, for next year that doesn't necessarily have a scope of work, doesn't necessarily need funding, but we are very much seeing a movement in the state of Nevada towards desire for direct potable reuse. And as far as priorities go, by this time next year, it very well could be a priority discussion, and there could be work moving in that direction. There is a current work group that's outside of the Division of Environmental Protection, who are working on the science and various elements of what direct potable reuse could look like in Nevada. I know your indirect potable reuse is still very much on its way up and coming to fruition, but this next step is absolutely part of the discussion. And I don't know if it just could use a nod as far as, this is on the horizon, but it doesn't necessarily need to be planned for funding. But I just wanted, it was just something that I noticed in the list of projects that you have before you today, that there wasn't really anything about that. So and so if there are other awareness level discussions to be having with the commission or others, we're happy to fill folks in as that project progresses, or whatever this body or the commission might need. So thanks.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for the comments. So, I guess hearing that feedback, unless anybody had any desire to bring forth a project or propose something related to that, or just take that into consideration as we set our, future priorities. But,
This is John. I have my hand up.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Casey? Thank you. John Enlow for the record. Yeah, I wanted to thank Jennifer for her comments. For everyone's awareness, there is a cost-sharing agreement in place right now between Tumwa, City of Reno, City of Sparks, and Washoe County, where we're funding approximately $100,000 of activities related to the development of direct potable reuse regulations. And I believe, Kim, you could correct me on this, but a portion of one of Krishna's Nevada Water Innovation Institute projects also has money in it towards development of direct potable reuse regulations. So currently, I think we're well funded and in a good position. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that comment, John. Ms. Rigdon, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Kim Rigdon for the record. So yes, John, Nevada Water Innovation Institute has the regional water management and coordination contract with us, and they can provide technical assistance with the advanced purified water efforts, which also would include assistance with direct potable reuse, DPR regulation development if we needed their assistance. That contract is fairly flexible for us to add items to that contract as well. So it may not be specifically outlined in their scope of work, but it's definitely directly related to the advanced purified water projects that we're working on. Thank you.
Commissioner Flansburgh.
And just add one more thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Director Carr's work on legislation this past session that allowed for this work to get underway and begin. And so that's very helpful. We're building a good track record.
All right. Well, hearing no further discussion, Kim, if you want to walk us through the activity you have planned for us today.
I would love to. Thank you, Chairman. So let me see if I can work this. So what I have here, so for those of you that have not gone through this exercise before, I sent out in the board packet a list of the projects, and if you were able to review them and get an idea of how you would like to score them, we score them on a 1 to 5, like you'd be scoring a hotel stay. And I put these priority levels up on the screen as an example or a suggestion. Some of you may have more detailed or granular ways of looking at the different projects and scoring them. The only thing we ask is that you use consistency across the board for whatever your criteria is that you use. These are suggestions. So, for example, a 1-star would equal, this is a future opportunity. We don't necessarily need to fund the project this year. It can wait. We consider all of our priorities important and implementing the regional water management plan. What we're trying to accomplish is recognizing which are the top priorities when we look at funding that we need to allocate primarily most of the funding to. If we have enough funding for all of our priorities, we go ahead and fund them all as long as you've ranked them all accordingly. And so if you go to, a 3-star, that would be, this is an important investment. It's meaningful, but it's not necessarily critical to the mission of our implementing the plan over the next year. So this could be one of the concept projects not necessarily an existing project that we need to keep moving forward. And then you go to 4 and 5, and those are critical needs. These are projects that are being funded currently that need to keep moving forward, or it's a top priority and we need to make sure that it's fully funded for the year. So we look at it, staff looks at it from a funding perspective. You may have different criteria you're looking at it from, so feel free to use your criteria, just be consistent with it across the board and score those 1 to 5. And so in front of you, you'll see a QR code for those online. You should be receiving an email shortly or have already received. I got the nod that you already have received it. And there's a link and a QR code there for you to go ahead and click on it and begin looking at the projects and giving them a ranking. And Mr. Chairman, once everybody's done, we can have maybe a 5-minute break so that I can make sure that the results all came through the program effectively, and then we can go into discussion, if that works for everybody. Are there any questions, or does anybody have any? Is everybody able to access the survey? Okay, perfect.
All right, so we'll reconvene, and Kim, if you want to give us the breakdown and the recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Kim Rigdon for the record. So I'm going to, it's quite small on the screen. I hope that the folks on Zoom can see it a little bit bigger because it seems to be full screen on Zoom. But essentially, this is the output from the survey that was just taken. And so you'll see it shows everybody's time of when they completed it. Member Crump, you were the first and fastest and speediest to finish it, so congratulations. And so it logs the date and the time and who took the survey, and then what scores each individual member of the commission scored each of the projects. So rather than going through everything, I'm just for public open meeting law requirements, I'm going to scroll through all the scores here real quick. They'll also be included in the meeting minutes. But the meaningful piece is, as we look down here, let me see if this graph comes up clear. So this is where you scored each one of the priority topic areas. And so you can see that wastewater and water quality ranked at the top for those particular subject matter areas and where the focus of the projects would be. So what we do with this information is when we look at the budget, if there's more projects than we have budget for, we would start looking at, well, how do we weight these? How do we weight the different projects? And we would weight them based on what the commission finds most important as far as the topic area. So we'd start using this as one of the weighting factors. We'd use whether it's an existing current project that we don't want to disrupt as one of the weighting factors. So this is important information for us to be able to look at the projects and figure out which ones are more of a priority than others for that fiscal year. The fun part is when you look at the rankings, this is a graph that shows which projects rank the highest. So it looks like this is in alignment with the topic priority areas as well. When you look at the top priorities being the Enhanced Wastewater Source Control Project, Regional Water Management and Coordination, those are both the Nevada Water Innovation Institute projects. Regionalization of wastewater, that was a high priority for the Western Regional Water Commission, and it's shown as a high priority here. So our wastewater projects are rising to the top. One Water Nevada is our Advanced Purified Water Outreach Coordinating technical consultant that is helping us design the education center for the Advanced Purified Water Facility at American Flat. The shared work program is very important to WRWC staff as we move forward with updating the regional water management plan and their assistance in helping us with that. And then you'll see the water quality projects showing up. So the Truckee Meadow Stormwater Committee, One Truckee River, and the water recycling education programs. So this is a real quick snapshot of the projects that rose to the top versus those that may be looked at as could be funded in another fiscal year or prioritized in another fiscal year. So we'll be using this to develop our budget. And so the last item of this is we like to pre-prepare what we think based on the projects that we've brought forward, what the budget might look like for those projects. And so this is also, again, a very busy slide, and I meant to, after I got distracted with the technical difficulties, have a handout, so I'm going to pass this around, take one and pass it around. This is the proposed tentative professional services budget detail that we prepared for fiscal year 27 based on the priorities that you just ranked. And we put all the funding in there, and it was within $35,000 of our previous year's fiscal year funding. It increased by $35,000, and the project contingency funds decreased by $100,000. So we still have $800,000 in project contingency funding, and it looks like most of the projects can be fully funded well within our budget. Now, some of the projects you can see have a to be determined in there. Some of the projects that we are not quite sure based on scopes of work that are being implemented right now, what the future scope of work might look like and what that might require. So we may still have to get into some of those weightings of those projects and looking at that budget if those come with a higher price tag. So I just wanted to make sure you had a quick snapshot of that. And then, Mr. Chairman, what we'll be looking for today is discussion from the board, if there's any comments on the outcome of the exercises, and any recommendations for any of the projects that we have proposed for funding, as well as an acceptance of the priority setting exercise and staff getting direction to go ahead and use that to develop the budget for fiscal year 27.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Kim. And are there any comments from the commission on either the results, the proposed tentative budget, or any other things related to this particular item? Commissioner Flansburgh.
No, I just wanted to point out, I mean, obviously, just for the general group, we've ranked these things based on where we see the needs. So, water supply is extremely important. But we've done a great job with water supply in the region. And so it doesn't rank out as high in some of these projects. So just for the general audience, just trying to share that information. We see some opportunities certainly with the wastewater effluent management that there's some needs there. It rose to the top because of some of those things. Water quality is extremely important. We've done a pretty good job in those areas, but it's still showing up as a pretty good priority. So just wanted to be just want to put some context behind some of the results that have come out, and I'm not surprised by the results nor the project selection, and it really does follow, as Kim mentioned, based on those priorities that we all collectively feel are there. So that's all I wanted to say.
Commissioner Crump.
I actually just wanted to comment and thank Ms. Rigdon and her staff for making this process easy. Having sitting on other boards, making the sausage is not always pretty, so thank you for allowing us to do this very efficiently.
Thank you. I think Mr. Enlow's hand is up as well.
Commissioner Enlow?
Yeah, Commissioner Crump took my comment away. I've gone through this process, I can't say how many years, and this is about as easy and efficient as it can be. So thank you to Kim and staff for doing this. Makes our job much easier. And I agree with Commissioner Flansburgh as well. The results of this seem to fall in line with the priorities. So looks good.
All right, well, with that being said, and not hearing any other comments from any of our members, I suppose we'll be looking for a motion to accept the results and recommend recommend them being forwarded to the Western Regional Water Commission?
No, so what we're looking for is direction to staff to use the results to develop the fiscal year 27 professional services budget. And then we'll bring that budget back to the commission in November for final approval when we have more information to inform the rest of the budget, so that you can then make the recommendation to the WRWC.
Okay, perfect.
And we will also, there's a joint meeting on November 5th. I'm going to say that wrong because I'm not looking at my calendar. November 5th, I said that right, actually. And we will present the results from today to the WRWC at that meeting as well, for that joint meeting.
Thank you for the clarity. So we are looking for a motion to provide recommendations to staff on the 2027, the fiscal year 2027 priorities.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Qualieri, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 8, program manager updates. Ms. Rigdon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kim Rigdon for the record. I only have a couple of updates. I didn't want to belabor things that, these are just announcements, not necessarily updates, but we did at the last workshop go through the draft goals and policies for the Regional Water Management Plan update. So I just wanted to put out a reminder that we're really looking forward to agency reviews being completed by the end of October. I think we set October 31st as the deadline for that. So just wanted to put that reminder out there. October 16th and 17th, we have additional wastewater regionalization feasibility project meetings that we're going to go through. There's a series of meetings. I think most of the working group has accepted, the NNWPC working group that was assigned to those meetings has accepted those meeting invites, and they will be topic specific. So I just wanted to update the board that the last round of interviews went really well. There was very good feedback from Aftalis, who is the consulting firm working on that study, and they are ready to jump in and get to some of the more detailed discussions, get a little bit more granular on some of the topics. So we're looking forward to that on October 16th and 17th. The November meeting is our concurrent meeting with the WRWC, so we'll be looking to go through these results of the priority setting, as well as maybe a couple presentations on a few of the projects so that they have a better understanding of what the projects are. I won't go through it as quickly as I did with this board because they're going to want some more background on those projects. So I'll reach out to some of the members to see if there's input or presentations that we may need you to help us out with for that group. And then wanted to let the group know that the 2026 Water Reuse Symposium, the annual symposium that was held in Tampa last year, is going to be held in Los Angeles this year. They will be having another public official special session, so we'll be making that announcement to our Western Regional Water Commission Board. They got a lot out of that last year, and with our wastewater regionalization study and the the advanced purified water projects, enhanced source control, and water recycling projects. I apologize, that was my daughter, and I didn't turn it off on my ears. So we'll be encouraging either current, the members that went last year to go again, or to get some new members to go so that they have a better understanding of some of our projects that we're working on. And of course, we encourage the Water Planning Commission members to attend as well. WRWC staff will be attending that. And that's all I have for updates. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Kim. Any comments for Kim? Right, hearing none, moving on to item number 8. This is a discussion and possible direction to staff regarding agenda items, meeting dates, and locations for future NNWPC meetings. Ms. Rigdon.
Thank you, Chairman. So Kim Rigdon for the record, and I already went through our next month's meeting will be at Tumwa at 1:30 on November 5th, and that's our concurrent meeting with the Western Regional Water Commission. I did put up the 2026 meeting schedule primarily because I'm not going to have time to do that at the concurrent meeting, so I'm going to get approval from both boards. I'd like to get approval from both boards on this schedule, on the 2026 calendar schedule, so Jen can get that on everybody's calendars moving forward with a little bit before January. So take a look at the calendar items. The only 2 meetings we don't have on there are the July and December meetings. And then I did put the milestones for each of those meetings that we hold. February 4th is going to be our budget approval and recommendation to the WRWC. On April 1st, we'll hold board elections. So that'll be our officer elections, chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer. On October 7th, we'll do another priority setting for the next year. And then in November, we hold our concurrent meeting with the WRWC. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So any comments on the proposed 2026 meeting schedule? If not, we'll be looking for a motion, correct?
You don't need a motion on this one.
Oh, no motion?
No motion? Okay.
All right, well, hearing no comment, we'll move on to item number 10, commission comments. Any commissioner wanting to make a comment at this time? Or any of our non-voting members as well? All right. Closing out item number 10, item number 11, staff comments.
No staff comments, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 12, public comment. Anyone from the public wanting to make a comment?
I have none.
All right, and have we received any public comment? Nope. Okay. With that being said, I appreciate everyone bearing through my incredible awkwardness and our technical difficulties, and I call this meeting adjourned.